Sometimes you meet an inmate who doesn't try to stand out with threats or violence, but with calm, control, and calculation. He wasn't cocky, just strategic. That's how he was. For him, prison wasn't punishment. It was a system, a board, a game, and he was determined to beat it. His name was Daniel, in his early 30s. On the surface, there was nothing unusual about him. Athletic, polite, kept to himself. Not a single violation on record. Perfect discipline. We usually reward inmates like that, but with Daniel, something felt different. He treated every interaction, every moment, as if it were part of a mission. And in that mission, he saw himself as the main player. In the beginning, he acted just like everyone else. He stayed quiet, watched everything around him, and avoided trouble. But after a few weeks, we started to notice something unusual. Each evening, at the same time, Daniel would write in a small notebook. He wasn't writing poems or letters. He was creating charts, assigning scores, listing names. He was tracking other inmates, giving them points based on their actions, their reactions, and their emotional control. One of the officers asked him what he was doing. Daniel looked up and replied calmly, "Studying behavior. Everyone here is a character." He said it like he was describing an RPG. At first, we laughed. We thought it was a joke, but Daniel was completely serious. He even gave people titles, opponents, allies. He set personal goals for himself: earn extra cigarettes, convince someone to trade, get moved to another block, and he logged each of those goals like they were side missions in a game. Despite how strange it seemed, Daniel wasn't manipulative or aggressive. If a fight broke out nearby, he simply walked away. He never raised his voice or lost his temper. He once told me, "Aggression is a bad strategy in this game." By the end of the first month, he began working on what he called his persuasion skill. He started offering small favors to other inmates in exchange for information: who was close to whom, who had tensions building. And again, he didn't report anything. He just wrote it all down. He was collecting intel, because in his mind, that was key to winning. I remember walking into the mirror room and catching him practicing conversations. He repeated phrases, watched his facial expressions, like he was preparing for an interview or interrogation. When he saw me watching, he just looked at me and said, "You're either planning your moves or you're already losing." At first, we thought it was amusing. Then it became strange. And eventually we realized how effective it was. He started getting what he wanted: a transfer to a quieter cell block, special access to the library outside of normal hours. He even earned the respect of both inmates and officers, and he did it all without ever raising his voice. Daniel was playing the system, and he was winning. Everything changed when a new inmate arrived, someone loud, violent, and unpredictable. Daniel's methods didn't work on him. Suddenly, he pulled back. He stopped writing. He stopped talking. One night, he sat beside me in the rec yard and asked, "If there's no end to the game, is it still worth playing?" I didn't know how to answer. He stood up and walked away without another word. 2 days later, Daniel began writing again. But this time, it wasn't charts or behavior scores. They were letters. To himself, to his parents, to his brother. He asked them not to reply. He said he just needed to complete one final mission. None of us understood what that meant. Until one morning, we found his notebook lying on an empty bed. Daniel was gone. Not punished, not escaped. He had requested a transfer, voluntarily, to a different facility in another state. There was no explanation, no drama. It was like he had finished a level and was ready for the next. On the last page of his notebook, there was a single line written, "Game completed. Thank you for playing."